if you are an adult in your 40s or 50s and you're trying to get stronger, then what I'm going to tell you might be the missing ingredient in your workout and your general way of life. So pretty much what I'm going to discuss today is sleep, the lack of it, getting enough sleep. How does it impact you? What does the science say? What has my personal experience been? Excuse the shaky camera. I'm just holding it up because I just finished a gym workout. I haven't got a chance to put it on anything stable at all. Maybe I'll figure something out during the video. But basically something that I started noticing years ago. I hadn't worked out for years. COVID hit, lockdown. I was basically as skinny fat as you could possibly get. So weak it was ridiculous. And I started to do burpees every day. It started literally, right at the beginning of 3 burpees, worked my way up to 60 burpees a day. One thing I noticed though was that the less sleep I got, the worse my performance was. The more sleep I got, the stronger I was at burpees. This carried on for a long time and is now extended into my weight training. Now that I'm lifting heavy and consistently, it seems to even make more of a difference than before. And literally, I could feel that if I've had a good night's sleep, I perform better. But there's 2 things to look at. Firstly, what is the science behind this? Secondly, how do you actually manage to do this? Because life is not so simple. So the first thing is, what does the science say about this? Now, I'm going to be delving more into this in a future video, but I'll tell you what made me really conscious of this, even though it's been something at the back of my mind for years, and that is that I'm on a program with a company called Discovery. They've got a thing called Vitality where you collect points, and they started awarding points for sleep. And I was curious because they have got arguably the biggest data on health for underwriting purposes in South Africa. They also operate in a lot of other countries. So what does that mean? That means these guys are looking at how to keep people healthy so that they don't wind up in hospital. They started not only allowing you to measure sleep, but also tracking it and getting vitality points. Now, no company gives away stuff for free, so there's obviously an underwriting benefit that's backed by hard actuarial science. So this made me think I should start tracking it. Now, I had recently gotten a Samsung Galaxy Watch 7, which I could link to Samsung Health. I have no doubt that if you've got a Garmin or an Apple Watch, you can probably do something similar. And I started to track my sleep. And it is a fascinating thing because I wasn't as accurate as I thought in my head. Now, that's not to say that the Samsung system is 100% accurate, but once you get into it, really, it seems to be very, very close, probably a lot closer than what I was measuring myself. Now, the question becomes, you can't really manage what you don't measure. So am I measuring my sleep? I started to measure my sleep and track it according to my workouts, and it really has made a measurable difference. I was able to lift more weight on my squats today consistently after 2 nights of good sleep. I think I've been tracking it literally on a spreadsheet for years. So this is something that I measure quite closely, and I can see the correlation. Now, and in fact, I'm going to tip you up for a second to stop my workout, which I forgot to stop. That was on my watch. And the question is, how do you control this? Because it's all very well talking about the science, talking about my experience, saying you need sleep, but when you're an adult, it's not so easy. When I was 20 and my life consisted of clubbing, I didn't really care about sleep. But as a 48-year-old man who works in security, the security industry does not allow for a lot of sleep. If you work in security, you'll know what I mean. Also, because I don't work in the same country every week, I fly constantly. And anyone who works in aviation or flies a lot will tell you, sleep is just not so easy to get. There are people that can sleep on planes. I'm not one of them. So from a practical point of view, it's difficult. Do I get sleep when I get home? Probably not most of the time because I have 2 young kids. So it's all very well to say, get sleep, it will help you get stronger. But the question is, how do you practically implement it? Now, I've not solved this problem completely for myself. I would love it if you have, to give it to me in the comments. But I suspect that the more you start measuring and tracking these things, the more you prioritize them. And since I've been prioritizing my sleep, there's no question in my mind at all that my lifts have improved. So the bottom line is sleep is probably the missing link in your training. Give it some thought. Let me know what you think in the comments.